Welcome to Paul's Toolbox. Today we're going to take the speed square and we're going to step it up a notch. I had a video previously that's in the description box. You can go back to that one if you want and check out everything to this point. I showed how to do a number of little things, some tips on it. But this time we're going to take and cut our common rafter. I'm going to show you how to get the bird's mouth, how to get the length for your overhang, and how to make these cuts. This is simple stuff. Once we get past this, we'll go into putting these rafters together, and I'll show you how to figure out a lot on that to make things easier. All right, let's get started on it. You have three important marks that you're going to have to make and three important cuts. This is your ridge board. You're going to need your angle right here to match this, so you have the right angle from here to here. And you're going to need this angle and this angle to all be the exact same angle. So it makes it simple. We're going to make this mark, measure down, make this one and this one, and I'll show you how to determine what your length is. We determined on the last video that this is a 5/12 pitch, meaning it is a 22.5 degree cut that enables you to get that 5/12 pitch. It's going to be in your blue book that you can get from Swanson when you buy the Swanson Speed Square. A 5/12 pitch means that this raises, it has a rise of 5 inches for every foot. That's 5/12. For 12 inches over, you're raising it up 5 inches high. Make sure your pivot, it says pivot right here, that is against the top of your board. That's called the pivot point because it is always where you pivot from. Okay, this is how you will slide the square up to get your angle. You always mark from the pivot side when you're making a degree of angle, unless it's just sitting flat and you're using the 45. Other than that, you will always pivot out. I'm going to take this and bring it up to 22.5, which is a 5/12 pitch. And you can see the 5 right here matches up with 22.5 degree angle, and I'll mark my line. I always mark from the pivot side. You never mark from this side. That's a 22.5 degree angle, and it's a 5/12 pitch. This board right here has to be 13 inches for every 12 inches you have here. And if you had a higher pitch, it's going to be more and more and more because you're rising up higher and it's taking more length right here. All right, that makes sense? We know we need 13 inches from here to here in order to get my bird's mouth right on the edge, because this is 12 inches from the center over. Now, this whole span right here is 24 inches. If you have plywood on the two sides, you will add that 1/2 inch here and 1/2 inch here, if that's the thickness of your plywood, to your span. The span is the total width of your building. When I'm framing and I don't have plywood there, this is going to be my span, 24 inches exactly for this. What you want to do is get your total width, divide it in half. You're going to have to subtract 3/4 of an inch on this side and 3/4 of an inch on that side, because that's 1.5 inches. This one's going to split up and meet right in the center, both of these. And when they meet in the center, you have 3/4 of an inch in here that's going to push it back. Okay, that's why we take 3/4 of an inch off of this. 3/4 on this side, 3/4 on this side. This is the center of my board. I'll also take my rafter. I have that cut. I'm going to put minus 3/4 of an inch. That way I won't forget, because I don't have the best memory. Next, we're going to take this point and we're going to measure back 12.25 inches, because normally it would be 13. So we're going to take this back to 12.25, because here's my mark for 13, and we need to take that 3/4 of an inch off, right? So let's go ahead, mark this at 12.25. We're going to take our pivot point, set it right on that line. We pull this back to 22.5, and let me show you that. 22.5 is a 5/12 pitch right here. We're going to go ahead and mark that off. There are several ways to get your bird mouth, and I'm going to show you 3 different ways. The speed square allows you to use this mark right here. If you look at that line and this line down here, and you set this upside down, okay? Make your lines match this angle right here. This part goes to 45 degrees right here. When that 45-degree mark touches that, then you mark your bird's mouth, and that's going to give you the right angle. So we'll take this and we'll slide it until it reaches 45. Okay, right there. Another way of doing it would be to use the Swanson's patented diamond right here. You take this diamond and you'll set your speed square up against the edge of the board with your pivot against there. When you line this diamond up and it's right in that center, the line goes through the diamond at the peak of the top and bottom. Once you do that, you mark your line and it's in the exact same spot. Now, what this is coming back 3.5 inches. Okay, so if you take a common square or a framing square like this one, you can set it up, and if you go 3.5 inches back from this line, you're going to have the exact same angle. Just remember, your seat cut always faces the top of your rafter. So it goes this way, your seat cut's going to go forward. It never goes backwards. So you won't get confused that way. I always mark off the top of my board for my rafter. I mark my lines from the top, and then when I do my seat cut, it goes toward the top, the upper angle, and I'm always right. I don't have to worry about it. We want a 12-inch overhang. So if we want to get a 12-inch overhang, we're going to measure 13 inches from there. So now I can flip this upside down because this is printed on both sides. Get it tight, and right from the inside of my line, I'm going to go 13 inches over right here. So we mark our line at 13 inches. We have a 5/12 pitch, 22.5-degree angle. Remember, this is your common, the bottom. On the other video, I showed you how to color code this so you don't get confused with this. You'll always mark this for common rafters. Now I just mark my line right here. Here's an important tip. Always take your boards and look down the top edge. Put your eye right on the edge of this board and look down it. If you see this has a little crown this way where it curves, even the slightest bit, you want that side up. Try not to get boards that are curved either way. Try to get the straightest boards you can. Sometimes they'll have a little crown on them. A lot of times they do. Do not take that crown and put it upside down where it's a belly, because if you have weight on there, it pushes it down and it's going to be strong. It's like a bridge. If you have weight on it this way and it has a belly, it's going to cup down and your roof is going to have dips. You don't want to have that. So keep it up. I'm going past the line. The reason why is because I needed to go in deep enough over here in order to make that cut. This is framing, this is not trim. Take and put a P on your first one if everything matches up. Once you do that, you use this one for your pattern and you cut all of your rafters. So you don't have to spend time on each one of these marking them off. You just take this, set it down, scribe it, and mark your next one. Well, you're one step closer to understanding the speed square, and already you're going to know more than 90% of the people out there just by these little tips. This tool carries a lot of weight for a small tool, and you can just keep it in your pouch. It's a great tool to learn how to use because it comes in handy in so many different ways. Now, I really appreciate everybody who comments and who leaves remarks for me. I ask for people to do that all the time, and I try to get back to everybody I can because it's important to try to interact. So if you have a question, go to my website and send me a question. That way I can get it in my mail separate from all the comments. I can address those first and then address the comments after. I really appreciate it. All you guys and girls that stick with me on this. I have over 100,000 subscribers now, and I'm going to get Swanson to give away a number of these speed squares with the books. So be looking for that, and I'm picking out other people who comment. And I have people that commented on my last video. I did not say anything about it, but I am going to choose some people from there too. So remember to comment, follow my channel if you get a chance. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you on the next project.